guys are so stupid. You're such hypocritical bullshitters and you don't even know it. Okay, I really wasn't going to cover the Batwoman TV show yet because I wanted to wait till, a couple of episodes in so I could get, an actual legitimate opinion and viewpoint of the TV show as opposed to, what we have now. But I ended up seeing that episode 1 had like an 8% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And I figured, oh wow, is this show actually as bad as everybody expected it and that it was going to be, and that it was going to be as woke and as ridiculous as everybody thought it was? Except I actually watched, unlike most of you who, gave this a 1 star or a half star, I actually watched the episode, okay? And you guys are such hypocritical bullshitters, okay? And you are so stupid, you don't even understand that how you're such hypocritical bullshitters. So, because I'm here for you, because that's just the type of guy I am, I'm going to try to explain to you idiots in a way that hopefully you brain-dead morons can understand on what the problem is. Now, the critics of this show purposely elevated the score on this show because they have a bias and they have an agenda. Now, rightfully so, these critics, okay, having given this show such a false high score and called out for the agenda that they had on why they gave it such a high score, establishes how irrelevant and invalid the critic score is. Okay? Now, the audience score, okay, is purposely deflating the rating score of this show because you have an agenda, and your agenda is to purposely downgrade the ratings on this show. You are just as guilty of what you are accusing the critics of this show are. Because the reason you downvoted this show was because you anticipated it to be the woke piece of shit all the articles and news websites and news sites were talking about. They were promoting how woke this show was, so you're figuring, well, we're against the wokeness. Because again, there are dozens of YouTubers out there who are promoting the fact that, hey, let's show Hollywood, okay, how we don't like the wokeness in our TV shows, how we don't like our wokeness in our movies. So what's one of the methods you have? Let's downvote the TV shows on Rotten Tomatoes. You've already admitted your game plan. You've already established your game plan is let's purposely downvote shows and movies that are woke, irregardless of whether or not the show's any good or not, regardless of whether or not the movie's any good. Forget actually rating a movie based on its own merits. Rate it based on the fact that it's either woke or it's not woke. You thought this show was going to be a woke piece of shit, so you gave it a low, you gave it 1 or a half star. The problem was, for those of you who actually watched the show, ended up realizing, oh crap, it's nowhere near the wokeness level that the articles were talking about. There are YouTubers who actually admitted that who are absolutely against the Batwoman and absolutely against the wokeness aspect of Hollywood, going, I watched this show in anticipation of the wokeness level, and they were going, there was hardly any woke level. Where was all this wokeness that all the articles were talking about? So again, YouTubers who were actively anticipating and ready to trash this show for its wokeness watched it and went, where's all the wokeness? There was one YouTuber, he literally bitched that there wasn't any wokeness in this show. He literally was bitching because there was nothing to complain about. He wanted to make a video on the Batwoman TV show just so that he could bitch about all the wokeness, and got pissed that there wasn't any wokeness to bitch about. Then you have other YouTubers who didn't even watch the show, who on their videos admit they haven't even watched the show yet, but go, oh yeah, the reason it got an 8 is because of all the wokeness, but no one's going to admit to that. Like, you are literally admitting how pathetic, hypocritical, and full of shit you guys are. So any defense that this wasn't about wokeness, that's gone out the window, okay? So then the defense is, then when you realize, oh crap, there's no wokeness, we've been caught off guard, what do we do? It's because it was a shitty TV show. This is an Arrowverse CW TV show, you idiots. This is no better. This is as formulaic and as standard as every other Arrowverse TV show. This has got the same level of acting skill as Arrow, Flash, Supergirl. You want to tell me that you think, because on Rotten Tomatoes for season 1, Supergirl has a 54% audience rating. You want to tell me that you think Supergirl is a better TV show and more woke and less woke and a better show than Batwoman? You're either full of shit or you've never even seen Supergirl and or Batwoman, which invalidates your opinion anyway. Either way, right? This show is got the same level of writing as every other Arrowverse TV show. Same level of acting, same plot element. It's just as formulaic and standard as every other CW Arrowverse TV show. So explain to me how you can suddenly go, suddenly this is apparently worse than any other Arrowverse TV show. Bullshit! This is somehow worse than Supergirl, which automatically establishes you have no goddamn clue what you're talking about, and you have no defense. And here's another aspect, okay? Here's another aspect that shows how full of shit you are. The Joker movie, okay? Before the Joker movie came out, there were articles, news websites, and news sites talking about how this was an incel movie, how it was going to promote violence, it was going to cause riots, it's something about causing promoting psychological, I can't remember but there was a whole bunch of bullshit that these articles and news websites were talking about the Joker movie, okay? Now, once the Joker movie was released to the general public, and the general public and everybody realized that it had none of what the articles, the websites, and the news were talking about, when it was revealed that they were all full of shit and what they were saying wasn't anywhere even close to what the Joker movie was, what did everybody do? They went right after the article writers, the news websites, and the news media, and called out how full of shit they were. They established that they were lying, that the movie was nowhere close to what they were falsely claiming it was. Then explain to me why in the Batwoman TV show, when it was nowhere close to the wokeness level that all the articles and news websites were claiming it was, why isn't anybody going and calling out those articles for their bullshit? Why aren't you calling out those news websites who were promoting how woke this show was and calling them out on their bullshit? Because that's not your narrative. That's not your agenda. Your agenda was shit. It's not woke enough, so we'll pretend that it's because it was a lousy show. Okay? Because if you actually gave a shit about wokeness level and you were actually sincere in your agenda, you would have been calling out, you would have said, you know what? The Batwoman TV show is nothing. There's nothing. All the claims of it being woke was bullshit. It's just a regular, other than two scenes, right? The two lesbians kissing, ooh, whatever. And the one line, oh, it'll be perfect when it fits a woman. That's it. That's it. You guys should be calling out the news, the websites and all the article writers claiming how full of wokeness this show was. But you're not, because that's not your agenda. That doesn't fit your narrative. That's not the purpose of why you downvoted this show. Okay? If you were actually sincere, that's what you would have done. But you're not. You want more proof that you guys are purposely review bombing this show because of its supposed wokeness? Okay? And nothing to do with the actual merits of the TV show? Let's compare the amount of people that watch the pilot of other Arrowverse CW shows compared to Batwoman. Okay? Flash, over 4 million. Arrow, over 4 million. Legends of Tomorrow, over 3 million. Supergirl, almost 13 million people watched the pilot episode of Supergirl. For Batwoman, 1.8 million. Okay? Nobody is apparently giving a shit about the Batwoman TV show. Except if you compare the number of people who watched the show to the number of audience members that rated the show, Arrow, again, over 4 million people, 2,300 audience ratings. Flash, 4,900. Supergirl, with almost 13 million people, okay, got only 3,200 audience reviews. Okay? Legends of Tomorrow, 1,300. Batwoman, in 5 days, has over 4,000 user ratings. Why would this show, which only got 1.8, that apparently nobody gave a shit about, has more ratings, more user ratings than every other CW Arrowverse TV show except Flash? But it's going to catch up to that soon. Why would the least amount of people who gave a shit about this show has got the most audience members rating it? Because you're review bombing it, you idiots. You actually think we don't know. You actually think you can disguise and that it's not blatantly obvious. The show with the least amount of people giving a shit about the show has got the second highest amount of users rating the show. Why? Why do you think? Because suddenly you guys all of a sudden care about the quality of the Arrowverse CW TV shows? And here's the funniest part of all of this. What's your end goal? What do you possibly think is going to be the outcome of this? That if it gets a low score, if it gets a low audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, they're not going to renew the show? That somehow the success or failure of a TV show is based on the Rotten Tomatoes score? Are you that naive or stupid? Okay? It doesn't matter what the audience score is on Rotten Tomatoes. If it gets viewers and it gets advertisers, guess what? The show continues on. The show goes on. They're not gonna, advertisers are not gonna go, well, you got a steady group of our target demographic, but unfortunately you got an 8% or a 10% score on Rotten Tomatoes, Yeah, we're not gonna advertise on your show anymore. Is that what you think is gonna happen? Is that what you think is gonna happen? You're delusional. You're idiots. You have no goddamn clue what you're talking about. Okay? The show Supergirl, okay? Flash, okay? Could have had an audience score of 5%. Do you think that was gonna stop it from constantly being renewed as long as it kept having an average of 4 million viewers per episode or per season? Of course not. The audience score has no... Think of the inverse. Think of the inverse. Imagine a show that has low viewership, okay? But has a high score on Rotten Tomatoes. It has like a 90%, okay? But the show doesn't have any viewers, okay? What's the show gonna do? Go to the advertisers, hey, you should advertise on our show. And the advertisers are gonna go, yeah, but you hardly have an audience, much less anyone in the demographics that we care about. What's the producer of the show gonna do? Go, yeah, but we got a 90% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And the advertisers are gonna go, oh well, since you put it that way, obviously we're gonna keep advertising on a show that nobody watches. It's like, so congratulations, you've successfully established that the audience score is just as irrelevant as the critic score. Yay? Anyway, that's it for me. I'm done. I'm all psychotic ranted out. I'm out of here. See ya.